y'all, it's Hip at Crafty Hope and welcome. I am working with some of my beads from Jesse James Beads. I am a design ambassador for Jesse James Beads, and a couple months ago they sent me an amazing kit from the Magical Mystery Bead Box. I believe it was, hold on, I've got it written down. I believe it was the July Magical Mystery Bead Box. It was the Sunflowers one. Is gorgeous. I'm going to put a link up here to where I reveal what was in that kit. I think you can still pick that kit up on the Jesse James Beads site. I'll put a link to that below if you can. But I've had so many beads from Jesse James that I've had other things to design, and I just took a few minutes to dive into that Sunflowers bead box and yeah, kind of get some ideas together. So I'll have possibly some more videos on here, but I may have a reel on Instagram. We'll see. But I've got 6 or 7 ideas. I'm trying to remember. I laid a bunch of, it's a lot of earrings, 2 necklaces, and a bracelet is what I've got so far, y'all. And there's still so much left from that kit. So I did pick and choose, and I've decided to start with this one because it's a little bit different. I don't know that it would go over quite as well on a reel as it would here on YouTube. So I'm going to show you what I've got and we're going to get started. I picked some of the larger beads here. I believe this is the Gratitude, Friendship, and Happiness bead mix, or where these larger beads came from. And then I've got a couple smaller beads from the Sunflowers mini bead mix. And then I have the, what is this, Chain of Blooms chain. Now I still think this chain is pretty neat because it's got like this flower connector, these like figure 8 infinity charms, and then this twisted loop. And all of those are connected by jump rings. So I kind of rejiggered this a little bit and have come up with an idea. So I took one of the flower shapes and one of the loops and connected them with one of the jump rings. As you can see, the flowers are connected to the infinity signs, and then there's the loops, rings. Why can't I come up with that word? Woo. So I have rejiggered it a little bit, and then I'm still going to use this infinity and connect it hopefully at the top. We're going to go ahead and do that real quick while I've got you here. I am going to take 2 of the jump rings and see if I can get them each through this loop at the top of our flower, and then put one of each on the infinity sign. Now this may or may not work. If it does not work, then I will rethink my design super quick. So I'm going to put these, I think that other jump ring I need to close a little bit better, but I just want to see if these will all fit together. All right, there. Okay, got that through, and we're going to come over and put that infinity sign through this other jump ring and then close it. All right, let me look at that other jump ring. Yeah, make sure I've got it closed all the way. Remember, with jump rings we always twist to close them, we don't pull. All right, so I think if I can get my fingers right, I think that's going to work just fine. So let me show you what I've got here a little bit closer. Just like that. And I'm going to make a beaded chain up a certain length and then finish it with regular chain. So you've seen, so I don't need to show you all that anymore. What else I have on my desk are some head pins, some 22 gauge wire, more pliers, and like I said, once I get this done I will pull in some chain. I like to start with the front chain before I figure out what chain I think will go best in the back. It's just the way I work. And then a clasp, and I'll bring that in. That's a later design decision. I feel like I need to figure out like what the weight of everything together is and all of that before I can decide on chain and clasp. So that's how I work. So I'm going to show you real quick how I'm going to lay this out. I am of course going to put these little ones on head pins, and I'll be putting them down here off of this for a fun little tassel here. And then these, I was just going to alternate. I think I was going to do this, make them work darker to light with the green ones, just like that. And so that's going to be my necklace. So I'm going to work on that. You know what? I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for each of these, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how I finished it. So let's start with these little beads. What I would do is put all of them on head pins. I like to work kind of in batches so everything feels a little more natural. So I'm going to put all of these little beads on my gold head pins. And y'all, I believe I got the head pins from Jessie James Beads as well. They came in another box they sent me. I'm trying to remember which one that is. If I can find that one, I'll put a link up there to it as well. So there's my head pins laid out. Then I will take round nose pliers and I will make wrapped loops. That's just what I do. So I will take my round nose pliers and make a little bend like that, and then move up. Now I'm going to make these loops a little big because they've got to go around this twisted ring. So I'm going to make sure I wrap that around fairly big, get everything just where I want it, and then I'll do the next one. So now that I've made all of those loops, I'll take my chain nose pliers here and just open these loops a little bit, slide it on to my twisted ring here, and then use my chain nose pliers to close that loop nicely, hold it, and then wrap that around. It takes usually about 3 wraps for me. And then I will get some flush cutters, and these are just wire cutters. You can use what you've got and trim that. And then I like to use my tweezer nose pliers to just kind of make sure that's tucked nicely. Like so. And I'm going to put the other 4 on and just make sure that they're going in that same pattern. Okay, now that I have this pretty little pendant made, I'm going to make that front part of the chain. And what I've decided to go ahead and do is, instead of connecting these to one another like I usually do, I'm going to make links. So all I'm going to do is also do some wrapped, ooh, that went crazy, some wrapped links. So I'm going to take a length of my 22 gauge wire. This is just my preferred gauge. If you prefer a 20, that would possibly work with these beads. Not sure that a 24 would. It would probably be too thin, but if that's what you've got, go for it, and just make sure you do lots of wraps. So I'm going to do the same thing on all of these. So I'm just going to show it to you once, maybe twice, and then, but I also have a tutorial on wrapped links I'll put up there as well. So I am going to leave, oh, how long is that? Oh, I just lost my, let's see, that is about 1.5 inches, and that's probably way too much, but we're going to see how this goes. So I bent my wire at an angle and then wrapped it around my round nose pliers to make a loop. I'll show you that again in a second. Once that loop is formed, I'm going to wrap that tail around my stem several times, just like that. And that was far too much. I could have definitely bent it with less wire at that, but you can always trim off. When you've got too much, it's hard to add wire to wire. So I'm going to straighten my loop, turn this, and make sure this little end is tucked down. And I'm going to thread on my first bead. When it gets to the bottom there, I'm going to hold it in place, take these round nose pliers again, and I am going to make sure that my loops go in the same direction, since I will be adding jump rings. It's just a thing for me. It's not that important. It just for the consistency of my brain. So I'm going to hold it with my round nose pliers, bend it at an angle so it's like that. Then I will turn my pliers so that they fit in a little bit better, wrap that around, turn my pliers again, wrap again, adjust my loop a little bit, adjust my pliers, and then take my wire and wrap. When that wire tail is finally touching the bead, I like to tuck it just a little bit before I trim it and tuck it again. That just, you know, it's just a process for me. Just like that. So that is my first loop. I'm going to do it again with another one so you can see that. So straighten out this little bit of wire. And y'all, I just work in short lengths of wire, you know, a foot, maybe more. Some other people work in short lengths of wire. Some people work straight off their spool. This is what works best for me. So I'm going to take a little bit less wire this time to bend. So I've bent this at a 90-degree angle. I will turn my pliers so it's touching that top tail of the angle. Make my loop around my pliers, adjusting my pliers as needed, and then turn my pliers around and then wrap. And just like other things, like I said, the way different people work, some people prefer to take their chain nose pliers and make their wraps. I am good with using my fingers, at least down to it gets about like that. And then I will grab my chain nose pliers, switch my hands, and then just use my chain nose pliers to finish this wrap. And with that, we didn't need to trim off any excess because it was the right amount of wire. Woo woo. All right, so I'm going to straighten all that up, take my next bead, put it right on there till it touches. While I'm holding it in place, I'm going to go ahead and put my pliers there. And again, bend that at that 90-degree angle, adjust it as needed, slide your pliers up, wrap a loop, turn your pliers, finish your loop, and then go in through the back side and wrap until it touches your bead. Just like that. That one I am happy with the way it is touching, so I'm just going to go ahead and trim that. Yep, I thought I was going to trim it. There. And then tuck. Just like that. So I've got 2 links there. I'm going to finish the rest of these links and come back and hopefully by then maybe I'll have decided on some chain. We'll see. Alright, so I have made all of my links. I went ahead and pulled out some chain, some jump rings. Well, these are larger ones, a smaller jump ring, and a clasp. So basically I'm just going to pull this together, and I'm going to do that by using chain nose pliers and bent nose pliers. You could use 2 sets of chain nose pliers. I don't recommend using your round nose pliers to do jump rings because it's all rounded and it gets super slippery. That's just a me thing. Other people have no problem with it. So you do you. I highly endorse the doing of you. And of course, there we go. Okay, so I am slipping a jump ring onto one side of that infinity symbol and then adding one of our first bead there. And then I'm going to close this jump ring. I'm going to go into these jump rings that I have are in from like a kit, and they're already opened, so I don't even have to worry about opening them. That's super nice. So I'll grab my second jump ring. My first bead, my second jump ring. Connect them and then add my next bead and then close. And I am going to do that all the way up through all of my beads. All right, so these are all connected. I am pretty happy with that. And I'm gonna go ahead and admit to you something. When I pulled out this chain, it was 1 full length, and I just put it on a piece of wire, found the middle, and cut it in half. I have not measured it to see if it is the length that I need for this because I don't know what length I need. I am very much a fly by the seat of my pants jewelry designer. So what I am going to do is go ahead and grab 2 of these jump rings, if I can get them. and put one on one side and then hook that to my chain. And then close my jump ring like so. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I think. Okay, so those are done. I'm gonna hold this up to myself real quick and see how long it is and if I want it shorter. Alright, actually I think that's great. There are just certain places on my body I didn't want it to hit, and I felt like that is fine. And so now I am going to lay it out like I am wearing it. And I am going to take the smaller jump ring and the clasp and put it on the right side because I am right-handed. If I were left-handed, I would put the clasp on the left-hand side. And y'all, if you ever need it, you know, if you're left-handed, it is pretty easy to switch this. And I am always available if you have questions about doing that. It's usually just a jump ring. If any of my jewelry has it on the right side and you want it on the left side, I am always available to switch that for you. Alright, so I just use that smaller jump ring to add the clasp, and I'm going to use one of these larger jump rings to attach the clasp, just like we did at the other end. So there's that on there. I'm going to close it. Okay. And then I'm going to open my clasp and put it on the jump ring. And just like that, we have a super cute necklace. I think this is absolutely perfect for fall. It's now October. Oh my gosh, oh, it's October. It's my favorite month. It really is. So I think this is great. It kind of reminds me of the leaves changing from green to brown and all the other colors they change. And I always believe that gold is perfect for fall. I don't know what it is. So that's done. If y'all have any questions about this, please don't hesitate to ask me below in the comments. Make sure you give me a like and subscribe, and check out Jessie James Beads and that Sunflowers Magical Mystery Bead Mix. All right, bye.